Hello everyone, I'm Arafat. I teach history on the textbook platform. So in this session, let us discuss the previous year questions asked by UPSC at the level of the prelims. So this exercise will help the aspirants in understanding the way in which UPSC is framing questions. So let us start with our discussion. In this session, we will confine ourselves only to the history related questions that were asked by UPSC in the last 20 years. The first question is, who among the following rulers of medieval Gujarat surrendered Diu to the Portuguese? This was the question. And this question was asked in 2023. So let us briefly understand the history of Gujarat during the medieval times. So during the medieval times, Gujarat was ruled by a Muslim ruler by name Bahadur Shah. Do not get confused. We also come across one more Bahadur Shah belonging to the Mughals. So this Bahadur Shah in question is a Gujarat ruler. And this man was in power between 1526 to 1535. In the year in which he came to power in 1526, in the same year, the Mughal rule also got established. That is in the year 1526. In 1530, in 1532, the second Mughal ruler Humayun invaded Gujarat and occupied the whole of it. So the point is, the ruler of Gujarat, Bahadur Shah, was in great distress, and therefore, to save his own kingdom from being occupied by the Mughals, Bahadur Shah sought the help of the Portuguese. So by this time, the Portuguese had already entered into India. Mostly, the Portuguese had their settlements on the west coast of India. So therefore, Bahadur Shah sought the help of the Portuguese. Then the Portuguese, in return for helping, Bahadur Shah agreed to give away the territory Diu to the Portuguese. This happened in 1532 AD. So Diu was originally part of Bahadur Shah's kingdom, but in order to get the support of the Portuguese in his fight against the Mughals, Bahadur Shah agreed to give away Diu to the Portuguese. This happened in 1532 AD. But in 1534 AD, the Mughals lost control of Gujarat, and once again Bahadur Shah succeeded in becoming the ruler of Gujarat once again in 1534 AD. So from 1532 to 1534, the Mughals were ruling Gujarat, but in 1534, the Mughals lost control. Once again, Bahadur Shah succeeded in occupying the kingdom. Now, once after becoming the ruler for the second time in 1534, Bahadur Shah wanted to renegotiate a treaty with the Portuguese. So basically, Bahadur Shah was not happy with his decision to due to the Portuguese earlier in 1532 AD. Therefore, he wanted to renegotiate it. Then, in this connection, he called for a meeting with the Portuguese. But the point is, the meeting did not go down well. And as a result, the Portuguese governor ordered his troops to assassinate Bahadur Shah. So Bahadur Shah died in 1535. So the Portuguese governor at that time was one Mr. Nino da Cunha. So the point is, who among the following rulers of medieval Gujarat surrendered Diu to Portuguese? The answer is Bahadur Shah. Let's take a look at the second question. With reference to the Indian history, consider the following statements. And this question was asked in 2022. This question contains 3 statements, and the question is, which of the above 3 statements are correct? The first statement is, the Dutch established their factories, warehouses on the east coast of the land granted to them by the Gajapati rulers. This is the first statement. Gajapatis were the rulers of Orissa, present-day Odisha. They also ruled particularly the north coastal Andhra Pradesh. So when were the Gajapati rulers were in power? They were in power between 1434 AD to 1561 AD or CE, the common era. So that was the basic details relating to the Gajapatis. But when did the Dutch enter India? United East India Company, the company which came to India for trade, was established in 1602 AD. So the point is, the Gajapatis ruled during this time period. whereas the Dutch entered India in 1602 AD. That is, after the decline of the Gajapatis, the Dutch landed in India. So therefore, there is no way in which the Gajapatis could have allowed the Dutch to establish their settlements in India. So definitely, statement 1 is a wrong statement. How about the second statement? Alfonso de Albuquerque captured Goa at Bijapur Sultanate. This is the question. Albuquerque is the second Portuguese governor in India. By the way, the Portuguese began coming to India from 1500 CE. So the second Portuguese governor in India is Alfonso Albuquerque, and he was the governor between 1509 to 1515 CE. And this man is considered to be the most powerful Portuguese governor in India, and he was the one who began occupying territories of India. The beginning of the 16th century AD, Goa region was under the control of the Bijapur Sultanate. So basically, Bijapur is the name of a place in Karnataka. So this kingdom ruled coastal Karnataka region. It also had control over Goa, the Bijapur Sultanate. And Alfonso de Albuquerque in 1510 AD, to be very precise, in 1510 AD invaded the Bijapur Sultanate, fought a war with the Bijapur Sultan, defeated him and occupied Goa. The statement 2 is definitely a correct statement. How about the third statement? The English East India Company established a factory at Madras on a plot of land leased from the representatives of the Vijayanagara Empire. Unlike other European trading companies, the English East India Company went on to establish 3 headquarters in India. The first headquarter was Madras, and this headquarter was established in 1639 AD. So, the British started coming to India from the beginning of the 17th century AD, and it was in 1639 Madras was established as their headquarter. So, the second headquarter of the English East India Company was Bombay, and it was established in 1668 AD. And the third headquarter is Calcutta, and it was established in 1690 AD. So the question is relating to the first headquarter of the East India Company, that is Madras. So how come the British established this headquarter? So basically the Madras region was under the control of a feudatory, a Samanta of the Vijayanagara rulers. The name of the feudatory is Damirla Venkatadri Naidu. And this man leased the territory of Madras to the East India Company. After taking the land of Madras as lease from this man, Damirla Venkatadri Naidu, the English East India Company established their settlement at Madras. So the present name of Madras is Chennai. So it is named Chennai because the father of Damirla Venkatadri Naidu is one Mr. Chennappa. The present name Chennai is attributed to the name of the father of Damirla Venkatadri Naidu. So the statement 3 is also the correct one. The question is, which of the statements given above are correct? 1 is incorrect one, 2 and 3 are the correct one. So B is the right answer. That is the second question. This was asked in 2022. About the third question. In the first quarter of the 17th century, in which of the following were the factories of the East India Company located? So the question is on the first quarter of 17th century. So it is between 1600 to 1625 AD. So that is the time period. That is what we mean by the first quarter of the 17th century. East India Company was established in 1600 AD, but the East India Company established its first settlement in India only in the year 1608 AD. So the first settlement was established at Surat. The first settlement was established at Surat. This is the point. So in course of time, the British went on to establish a number of settlements. The first settlement of the English East India Company in South India happened to be Machilipatnam. Machilipatnam, and this was established in the year 1611 AD. Now take a look at the question. Broach. So this is undoubtedly a settlement of the English East India Company located in Gujarat. So the first settlement of East India Company in Gujarat happened to be Surat. In fact, it is the first settlement of East India Company in India. And thereafter, a few years later, British also established a settlement at Roch or Bharuch. So the statement 1 is the right one. Then Chikakol, this is an anglicized name for Srikakulam, located in Andhra Pradesh. And Tiruchinapalli is an anglicized name for Tiruchinapalli, located in Tamil Nadu. So this is in Gujarat, this is in Andhra Pradesh, and this is in Tamil Nadu, the third one. So basically, the first settlement of the East India Company in South India happened to be Machilipatnam, which was established only in the 1611 AD. And at Srikakulam and Tiruchinapalli, the British did not establish their settlements at all. In fact, the British did not have their settlements in the second and the third centers. They had settlements in other centers of South India, but not at Srikakulam and Tiruchinapalli. So the answer is only one. One is the answer. And this question was asked in 2021. So one thing the aspirants should take note of is that in the last 20 years, in the last 20 years, the UPSC has ended up asking at least 15 questions from this particular topic, that is the advent of the European. So on an average, you can say that UPSC has been asking at least one question from this topic. So this is very important. In 2023, there was a question from this topic. 2022, there was a question. And even in 2021, there was a question. So this topic is very important. So let us take a look at the fourth question. Consider the following statements. And this question was asked in the year 2021. The first statement says, Francis Xavier was one of the founding members of the Jesuit order. The second statement says, Francis Xavier died in Goa and a church is dedicated to him there. The third is, the feast of Saint Francis Xavier is celebrated in Goa each year. So before we understand this question, before we answer this question, let us take a look at a few details relating to Saint Francis Xavier. So basically, the Portuguese began coming to India, or came to India in 1500 AD. In course of time, they established a number of settlements in India. And to administer their settlements, the Portuguese started sending governors. One such governor was Martin Alfonso de Souza. And this person was the governor between 1542 to 1545. So basically, when Martin Alfonso de Souza came to India, along with him, Alfonso de Souza was accompanied by a Christian missionary known as Saint Francis Xavier. According to some historians, Francis Xavier promoted religious conversions in India. He converted about 7 lakh people living in the coastal areas of South India into Christianity. That is, he promoted religious conversions in India. But he was also actively involved in the religious conversions in other parts of Asia as well. So it is said that Saint Francis Xavier also visited other Asian countries like Japan, China, etc., etc. So he was in India and other parts of Asia between 1542 to 1552 AD, exactly for a period of 10 years. In 1552, he was in China on the mission to promote Christianity. But in 1552, on December 3rd, Saint Francis Xavier died due to some viral infection. At a point, it is said that he died due to high fever. But the point is, Saint Francis Xavier was not buried in China. His mummified body was brought back to India and is still located in a church located in Goa known as Basilica of Bom Jesus. In this church premises, the mummified body of Saint Francis Xavier is also located. So the Basilica of Bom Jesus is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. On 3rd December, Saint Francis Xavier died. So his death anniversary is celebrated as the feast day by the Catholic community. So this is celebrated annually, and it is in fact a public holiday in the state of Goa. So let us take a look at all the 3 statements. So Saint Francis was one of the founding members of the Jesuit order. Of course, it is the right statement. Second statement says Saint Francis died in Goa and the church is dedicated to him there. This is an incorrect statement because he died not in Goa but in China. Third, the feast of Saint Francis Xavier is celebrated in Goa each year. This is the right statement. It is celebrated, I just told you, it is celebrated each year on 3rd December. It is a day of mourning. It is a day to remember the contributions made by Saint Francis Xavier. That's the one. So what is the right answer? So 2 should not be there, 1 and 3 should be there. So the right answer is C. How about the 5th question? With reference to Pondicherry, so the present name is Puducherry. Earlier times it was referred to as Pondicherry. So consider the following statements. So 3 statements have been asked. Statement 1. The first European power to occupy Pondicherry were the Portuguese. Second statement says the second European power to occupy Pondicherry were the French. The third statement says the English never occupied Pondicherry. Take a look at all the 3 statements. So the Portuguese began establishing their settlements from 1500 AD onwards. And it is true that the Portuguese also had a settlement at Pondicherry from the beginning of the 16th century AD itself. So from the 16th century itself, the Portuguese also had their settlement at Pondicherry. The statement 1 is the right one. Then the point is 1602 AD, that is in the beginning of the 17th century, the Dutch landed in India. Dutch, these are the people of Netherlands, engaged in a trade rivalry with the Portuguese. And as a result of this rivalry, many of the Portuguese settlements located in India were occupied by the Dutch. Many settlements of the Portuguese, including Pondicherry, was occupied by the Dutch. The point is, the second European power to occupy Pondicherry be the Dutch and not the French. Of course, Pondicherry later became the French headquarters in India, because let us take a look at other developments as well. In the first Europeans to land India happened to be the Portuguese in 1500. Then thereafter, the second happened to be the Dutch in 1602. The third happened to be who landed in India in 1608 AD. And fourth happened to be the Danes, people of Denmark who landed in India in 1616 AD. And the fifth happened to be the French, who were the last to come to India. They came to India in 1664 AD. So the point is, first Pondicherry undoubtedly was a Portuguese settlement, but from the Portuguese, the Dutch occupied it. When the French came to India, the French also established their settlements at Pondicherry. In 1693 AD, a war broke out between Dutch and the French, in which the French were defeated and the French were expelled out of Pondicherry. So in 1693, a conflict broke out between Dutch and the French, in which the French were defeated and they were expelled out of Pondicherry. But the point is, in 1699 AD, once again, the French succeeded in taking control of Pondicherry. And from 1699 till 1962, Pondicherry remained under their control. In fact, Pondicherry went on to become the headquarters of the French East India Company. So basically, statement 2 is an incorrect one. How about the third statement? The English never occupied Pondicherry. This is also an incorrect statement because the French and the British also engaged in wars in India. So in fact, they fought 3 wars in India, which are called as the Carnatic Wars. The first war was fought between 1746 to 48. Let us not go into the details of the first war. The second war was fought between 1748 to 56. And the third war was the most decisive war. The second war was fought between 1748 to 54. And the third war between them was fought between 1756 to 63. So the third war turned out to be a very, very decisive war. In this war, the French were completely defeated and their settlements, including Pondicherry, was occupied by the British for a short time period. In fact, Pondicherry was occupied by the British in 1760. But later, in 1763 AD, an agreement was reached between the French and the British. It is known as the Treaty of Paris. Under that particular treaty, the British agreed to return the occupied Pondicherry back to the French East India Company. So once again in 1763, Pondicherry went back to the French. That is, it came under the control of the French. The third statement is definitely an incorrect one, because in 1760, I just told you, Pondicherry for a brief time period came under the control of English East India Company. So statement 2 is incorrect. Statement 3 is also incorrect. Only statement 1 is the correct. This is the right one. The right answer is 1 only. How about the sixth question? With whose permission did the English set up their first factory at Surat? So it is true that English had set up their first factory at Surat. It was established in 1608 AD, and this factory was established with the permission from the Mughal ruler Jahangir. So Jahangir was in power between 1605 to 1627 AD. So it was during his rule that the English East India Company landed. It was with his permission that the English established their settlement at Surat in 1608 AD. So the right answer is Jahangir. And this question was asked in 2009. So fairly simple question. So how about the next question? During the time of which Mughal emperor did English East India Company establish its first factory in India? This is almost the same question repeated twice. So the answer is Jahangir. The same repetition, 1608 at Surat was established. Then take a look at the next question. Which one of the following is the correct statement? So this question was asked in 2005. The modern Kochi, name of a place in Kerala. The modern Kochi was a Dutch colony till India's independence. This is the first statement. The second statement says, the Dutch defeated the Portuguese and built Fort William in modern Kochi. This is the second statement. The third statement says, the modern Kochi was first a Dutch colony before the Portuguese took over from them. The third statement. The fourth statement says, modern Kochi never became a part of the British colony. This is the fourth statement. Let us basically analyze all the four statements. What was the time period of the Dutch in India? The Dutch came to India in 1602 AD and they remained in India till 1759 AD. So the Dutch came to India in 1602 AD and they remained in India till 1759 AD. So the Dutch picked up a conflict with the other European trading company, that is the English East India Company. So as a result of these conflicts, wars broke out between the Dutch and the British in India. One of the most decisive wars fought between both of these trading companies was the Battle of Bedara. Bedara is the name of a place, and this battle was fought in 1759. And in this battle, the Dutch were brutally defeated, after which all the settlements of the Dutch located in India were occupied by the English East India Company. So basically, the Dutch lost all their settlements in 1759 itself. So therefore, there is no question of Kochi being a part of the Dutch colony till independence of India, that is till 1947, because the Dutch did not remain in India after 1759 AD. So this is definitely a wrong statement. How about the second statement? The Dutch defeated the Portuguese and built Fort William in modern Kochi. It is true, because the Dutch came to India, just told you, in 1602 AD, whereas the Portuguese were in India from 1500 AD itself. So once the Dutch landed in India, the Dutch and the Portuguese started fighting among themselves. These conflicts resulted in a war. In these wars, the Portuguese were defeated and Kochi was occupied. So basically, Kochi was initially a Portuguese colony, but from the Portuguese, the Dutch occupied Kochi and constructed a fort at Kochi known as Fort William. This is in fact a correct statement. In fact, this fort was constructed in 1714 AD by the Dutch. This is the second statement. In fact, the second statement is a correct statement. How about the third statement? The modern Kochi was first a Dutch colony before the Portuguese took over from them. This is incorrect because the opposite of it is true. First, it was the Portuguese colony. From them, the Dutch took over. So basically, this is an incorrect one. Modern Kochi never became a part of the British colony. So this is also incorrect because first, it was part of the Portuguese. From them, the Dutch took over. So from the Dutch, it came under the control of Tipu Sultan. That is not directly from the Dutch. From the Dutch, the local rulers of Kerala occupied the Kochi region. And from the local rulers of Kerala, Tipu Sultan occupied it. And from Tipu Sultan, because wars broke out between Tipu Sultan and the English East India Company, in these wars, Tipu Sultan was defeated, after which Kochi came under the control of the British. So before, the point is, till independence of India, in fact, Kochi remained under the control of the British. Therefore, the fourth statement is an incorrect one. Modern Kochi never became a part of the British colony. In fact, it came under the British colony. So it is incorrect. So the right answer is B, not A, not C, not D. This is right. Let us take a look at this next question. With reference to the entry of the European powers into India, which one of the following statement is not correct? It's saying not correct. So this question was asked in 2003. So 4 statements are given. It means that 3 statements must be correct. Only 1 statement must be wrong statement. So which of these? Let us take a look at it. So the Portuguese captured Goa in 1499 AD. This is undoubtedly a wrong statement because just we have seen Goa was initially part of Bijapur Sultanate, and it was captured by the second Portuguese governor in India, that is Albuquerque. And this happened in 1510 AD and not in 1499 AD. So therefore, right away, you just have to choose any of these 4 as the incorrect one. The first definitely is an incorrect statement. So the right answer is this itself. Let us also take a look at other 3 statements. The English opened the first factory in South India at Musalipatnam. Musalipatnam, the present name of Musalipatnam is Machilipatnam. So this is true. The first factory of the English in South India happened to be Machilipatnam, and this was opened in the year 1611 AD. So this is the right statement. Nothing wrong about it at all. How about this third statement? In Eastern India, the English company opened its first factory in Orissa in 1633 AD. This is also true. The first English East India Company settlement in Orissa was in 1633 and it was established at Balasore. Balasore. This is the right statement. How about the fourth one? Under the leadership of Dupleix, the French occupied Madras in 1746. So basically, I just told you that wars broke out between the French and the English. They fought wars to establish their supremacy in India. So altogether 3 wars were fought. The first war between British and the French was fought in the year 1746 to 48. So the French governor at the time was this man by name Dupleix. He was the one who invaded Madras, which happened to be the headquarter of the English East India Company in South India. So Dupleix invaded Madras and occupied in 1746 AD. This is it. Second, this is in fact a correct statement. Statement A is incorrect, B, C, D are correct. So basically the question is asking which of the following statement is incorrect. A is incorrect. The answer is A. Not a very difficult question to answer. This question was asked way back in the year 2000. So this is a very, very good question. This is about the geographical discoveries. Which person discovered which part of the world, or to which country does he belongs to is the question. So all of these are the names of the explorers, the navigators. So these were the seafarers. So Vasco da Gama, we all know that he was the one who discovered a new and an alternative sea route to India. Basically, he landed in 1498 AD from Portugal. So he belongs to the Portugal. He was a Portugal national, and his voyage was also sponsored by a Portuguese king. So this is the right answer. How about the second seafarer? Christopher Columbus. He was an Italian But his voyage was sponsored by a Spanish ruler, and he went on to discover central and southern part of America. And third, he is also a great explorer, Captain Cook. He is from Great Britain, and he is credited with discovering Antarctica. So he is basically an explorer. He is from Great Britain. And the fourth is a Tasman, and he is from Holland, and he was the one who is credited with discovering islands such as New Zealand, Tasmania, Australia, etc., etc. So Tasman, he discovered this particular, he belonged to Holland. So let us match all of these ones. A has to be 2, then B has to be 1, then C has to be 4, then D has to be 3. So this is the right answer. Even if you know 1, this can be answered. This question can be answered. Anyway, this we frequently discuss in our classes. The next question. Which one of the following pairs is not correctly matched? This question was asked in 1999. Basically, in this question, the names of 4 Mughal rulers were asked. And basically, the question is asked relating to the foreigners who visited India during their time period. So, Jahangir, Mughal ruler, his court was visited by 2 Britishers. William Hawkins visited his court. His court was also visited by Thomas Roe. Both happened to be Englishmen. They went to Jahangir's court to get permissions for trade in India. During the period of Akbar, the British did not land in India at all. So therefore, this man, Thomas Roe, came during Jahangir's time period and not during Akbar's time period. So basically, the question is not correctly matched. Not correctly matched. So this is definitely not correctly matched. So this is correctly matched. Let us also take a look at the other. Shah Jahan, Tavernier. So this is correctly matched because Tavernier is a French traveler. He came to India many times. In fact, he is a businessman. Tavernier is a French businessman. He came to various parts of Asia as a part of trade. Tavernier is known for trading in diamonds, and he is said to have visited Shah Jahan's court. This is a right matching. How about the fourth one? So during Aurangzeb's period, Manuki came. Manuki, Niccolo, his full name is Niccolo Manuki. The Manuki is a Venetian. He is a native of Venice. He is a Venetian. This man worked in the Mughal army. In fact, he joined the Mughal army during the last years of Shah Jahan. And he also served in the army during Aurangzeb's time period. So basically, he saw for himself the rule of 2 Mughal rulers. One is Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb, and second is Aurangzeb. So basically, this man, Manuki, also wrote a book known as Storia to Mogor, the name of the book which Manuki wrote. In this book, Manuki provides a first-hand information related to the Mughal. So this is, in fact, a very good this book is a very good source to know about the history of the Mughals, particularly during Shah Jahan, the last years of Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb's time period. So basically, this question is about matching the foreigners who came during the time period of different Mughal rulers. The answer, by the way, for this question is P, that is Akbar South Thomas. So this is not a right match. Let us take a look at the other question. Of the following was the first European to initiate a policy of taking part in the quarrels of Indian princes with a view to acquire territories? This is a very, very good question. Answer for this question is undoubtedly Dupleix, because Dupleix, I told you, was the most powerful French governor in India between 1642 AD. I'm sorry, it is not 1642. He remained the French governor in India between 1742 AD to 1756 AD. So it was during his time period wars broke out between the French and the English East India Company. So altogether, 3 wars were fought between the French and the English in India, and these 3 wars are called as the Carnatic Wars. So of the 3 Carnatic Wars, 2 Carnatic Wars were fought during the time period of this governor, that is Dupleix. I told you Dupleix was the French governor between 1742 to 1756. So during this time period, the first and the second Carnatic War was fought. The second Carnatic War particularly was a result of Dupleix interfering in the internal matters of the princely states of India. Let me repeat. The second Anglo-Carnatic War broke out in India between the French and the English East India Company was a direct result of Dupleix interfering in the political matters or internal political matters of the princely states of India. So ultimately, even in the second war, Dupleix was brutally defeated. In fact, the French government held Dupleix responsible for the defeat of the French. He was called back and was put in jail by the French government. This happened in 1756 AD. So the answer for this question undoubtedly is the second question. Second, that is Alp. The point is they were also involved in acquiring territories, but that happened later. The question is, who was the first European? These were also involved. Albuquerque, he acquired Indian territory but did not interfere. The Portuguese governor in India, he fought wars, conquered territories, but did not interfere in the internal political matters of other princely states. So this is not the right one, this is not the right one, this is not the right one. This is the right answer. Then the 14th question. The secret of success of East India Company was. So what made East India Company successful in India? This is a very, very important question. The point is, the British came to India. They came to India with a handful of traders come soldiers. And these handful of traders come soldiers went on to occupy a large territory of India. And how come this happened? How did this happen? And what made this possible? And what made the task of British occupying a large part of India possible? So the first statement says absence of nationalism. This is a correct one because nationalism is a new phenomenon. This phenomena began developing in India only in the last quarter, from the last quarter of the 19th century AD. 19th and 20th century AD. So till this time, till the last quarter, that is, let me repeat, it was only from the last quarter of the 19th century AD that is nationalism began developing in India. Till that point of time, people did not have this at all. That is, there was complete absence of nationalism. So that made the job of the British occupying different territories of India possible. If the people had that national feeling, definitely people of India would have resisted the British design to occupy different territories of India. So statement 1 is the correct one. How about the statement 2? The company's army received Western training and had modern arms. This is also a right statement. Because the point is, the British army comprised of not just the British soldiers. In fact, a majority of the British Indian army comprised of the Indian soldiers. And these Indian soldiers were provided military training on the Western lines. They were also provided with far more advanced weapons than the weapons that were there with the Indian princes. So this is also the right statement. How about the third statement? Indian soldiers lack fidelity. Consequently, the one who paid them sufficient would have them on his service. This is also the right statement. The point is, Indian soldiers, or Indians for that matter, lacked nationalism, did not shy away from working for anyone who paid them sufficiently, who paid them salaries on time. So the British were known as one of the best paymasters in the world. Means they were paying not very high salaries. It only means that they were paying salaries on time. They were paying salaries regularly to soldiers. So therefore, the Indian soldiers, whosoever paid them, they did not shy away from working for them. So Indian soldiers worked for them. And this also was one of the important reasons for the British success in India. So the right answer is all of the above. All the above are the correct answer. This is the correct answer. Which of the British officials defeated the Portuguese at the Swali? The point is, let us take a look at, before we answer this question, let us understand a few details. We discussed that it was from 1500 AD onwards, the Portuguese began establishing their settlements in India, mostly on the west coast of India. And it was in the year 1608, the British landed in India and established their settlement at Surat. So this is the British settlement. When the British tried establishing their settlement at Surat, the Portuguese tried to stop them from establishing their settlements in India. This led to two wars. In fact, a couple of wars broke out between the Portuguese and the British in India initially. One of the very important initial encounters between the Portuguese and the British happened to be the Battle of Swali. The Swali is the name of a place close to that of Surat. And this battle was fought between the Portuguese and the British in India in 1612 AD. This battle was fought in 1612 AD. And in this battle, the Portuguese were brutally defeated. So this battle, the Battle of Swali, is considered to be first victory of the British on the Indian soil. That's the point. But who led the British forces in this war? The question is on which British official led the Portuguese in the Battle of Swali. The British official's name is Thomas Best. So this battle was fought at a place which is close to that of Surat, known as Swali, and it is also known as a Swali. The battle was fought in 1612. The one British officer who led the British forces happens to be Thomas Best. The right answer is Thomas Best. Some 15-16 questions were asked from the first chapter, that is Advent of the Europeans, in the prelims exam in the last 20 years. This chapter is very important. At least the aspirants can expect at least one question each year from this particular topic. So this is a very, very important topic. Thank you. Kindly subscribe to the Textbook channel.